Hi guys, so I got a book called Object Oriented Thought Process. I thought I should start with this to learn the object oriented concepts. I tried to learn object oriented concepts using a particular programming language, and I kind of didn't find it useful in case you are designing any project from the start. So I thought this book might be helpful. So stick with me. We'll learn these concepts throughout this book, and yeah, hopefully you enjoy. So let's start. Okay. So the first one is Introduction to Object-Oriented Concepts. So here the author tells that although many programmers don't realize it, object-oriented software development has been there around since early 1960s. So it's been there quite a lot of time. I mean, for quite a lot of time. And it wasn't until mid late 1990s that object-oriented paradigm started to gain momentum. Despite the fact that popular object-oriented programming languages such as Smalltalk and C++ already existed. So it says that there were a few number of object-oriented programming languages such as C++ and Smalltalk, but they weren't quite famous until mid late 1990s. So, and then he goes on to say that the rise of OO methodologies coincides with the emergence of internet as business and entertainment platform. So, as the business and entertainment platform, like business as like Amazon and entertainment platform like Netflix, went into business. Started getting into the internet, so that they can have multiple users. Who kind of coincides with it. The rise of O kind of coincides with it. So in short, objects, as he describes, that objects work well over the network, and after it became obvious that the internet was here to stay, object-oriented technologies were already well positioned to develop the new web-based technologies. So says objects work well over the network, as we see, like we kind of serialize object, convert it into JSON, and then send it through the HTTP, and at the client end we kind of receive that JSON and then deserialize it to a JS object or something like that to kind of reuse it. So that's how it transfer objects over the network. Serialize, get the JSON, deserialize, get the object back. So that process, I guess, I couldn't find anything. So I guess that process kind of got familiar, and it's not about JSON. You can convert it into XML as well, like previous days. And there are a few more as well, like formats, not only XML and JSON. You can Google it up. You can find it. So probably why this is why the objects this is why the object oriented technologies got famous, because I kind of don't find anything helpful here why objects work well over the network. And all right, we can go on. So object oriented technologies were already positioned to develop web based technology. All right, so it kind of because of the web, started getting popular. Now it is important to note that the title of this chapter is Introduction to Object-Oriented Concepts. The operative word here is concept and not technologies. He goes on to say that technologies change very quickly in software industries. Like technologies, what you call it, Java or C++, or maybe Smalltalk, maybe um, what do you call uh, many. JavaScript, maybe it's kind of a object it kind of a multi-paradigm language. Java is also a multi-paradigm language, but Smalltalk is specifically object-oriented language. It was designed by the guy who kind of introduced object-oriented programming. His name is Alan Kay. You can Google it up on the internet as well. So he kind of introduced object-oriented programming, and then he worked with Xerox to develop first graphical user interface. At that time of computing, like the computer didn't have a graphical user interface. until he introduced one, and that was the introduction of object-oriented concepts as well. And he later, I mean, the during the development of that GUI, he used Smalltalk and said that Smalltalk is object-oriented, purely object-oriented programming language. So you can, I mean, if you wanna learn object-oriented programming language, probably Smalltalk is the best one to try out. But then this book doesn't pay any specific, what do you call? Um, this book doesn't go into detail in technologies. It deals with concepts, as it says. The operative word here is concepts. Um, so let's go into technologies change very quickly in the software industry. Yeah, so today React is there, Angular is there. Previously it was jQuery or Backbone or something like that. So whereas concepts evolve, so it says concepts evolve, they don't change. So I use the term evolve because although they remain relatively stable, they do change. So they do change. They're not stable. They're relatively stable, relatively to the technology. And this is what is really cool about focusing on the concepts, as he says. So despite their consistency, they're always undergoing reinterpretation. So like they come up with these patterns, and then they implement those patterns, and then come out with the what do you call, the cons that the pattern has, and then the development another modified version of it, so that the problem that was there in the previous pattern doesn't appear in the next one. So it keeps on evolving, but it is not as such. I mean, not as it doesn't change as much as the technology. So that's what we want to say here. So they're always going reinterpretations. So this allow for some very interesting discussions. I don't know what discussion he's talking about. So let's go again.